Professor C. Manoharachary served Osmania University for 45 years as Dean, Principal, Head, Chairman, Director in Osmania, and as a he has also served as Vice Chancellor of Oriental University, Indore. So he has guided 50 PhD students and published 640 research articles. Uh, Publication besides 30 books, including 5 books which is published under the Springer's label. And he has described 20 new genera and 82 new species. That's really good contribution. And he did his postdoctoral research at UK and worked with Dr. John Webster in USA and with Professor R.D. Goose in Germany and with Professor Kriesel. Considering his contribution, significant contribution to the science, in 1999, University of Mysore bestowed upon him DSc degree, that is Doctor of Science degree.
ರಾಜ್ಕುಮಾರ್ ಸರ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆಡಿಯೋ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So everybody is there?
Yes, sir.
Everybody is there. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, everybody is there. How many of them joined actually? HRDC people?
17 members, sir.
Still 17. Okay, anyhow, we can start, I think.
Yeah, you can.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we have amongst us Professor C. Manoharachary, who is a well-known biologist and botanist of India. I will read this brief biodata he has shared with me. Professor C. Manoharachary served Osmania University for 45 years as he has served in different capacities like Dean of the faculty, Principal, and Head and Chairman of the department, Directors of different institutes within the universities of Osmania, and also he served as Vice Chancellor of Oriental University, Indore. So he has guided 50 students for PhDs and published 640 research articles, besides 30 books, including 5 books under Springer heading. And he has described 20 new genera and 82 new species, which is a good contribution to the science. And he did this postdoctoral research at UK and worked with Dr. John Webster in USA with Professor D.S. Group, and in Germany with Professor Kriesel. Considering his important contribution and significant contribution to the science, University of Mysore bestowed upon him Doctor of Science, that is DSc degree, in the year 1999. And he is recipient of 5 national awards, including Dr. E.K. Janki Ammal National Award by Ministry of Environment and Forest, Government of India, and Dr. UGC-JC Bose Award, actually. So he is a recipient of Best Teacher Award and Outstanding Scientist Award and Young Scientist Award from Government of Telangana. He has served as the President of MSI, IPS, IBS, and ISCA Plant Science Sessions. He is a Fellow of National Academy of Sciences, India, and National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, IPS, IBS, IMS, and MSI, and serving as an expert for UGC, DST, DBT, CSIR, and Ministry of Forest and Research, Forest and Ecology, then ICRISAT, TERI, ICAR, ARI, UPSC, and various universities and other academic bodies. His contribution is immense in biodiversity, taxonomy, conservation, biotechnology of microbes, fungi, and lichens. And presently, he is serving as a NASI senior scientist emeritus. So, with this brief introduction, I request Professor Manoharachary to present his lecture. Over to you, sir. Please. Sir, can you?
Hello,
Yeah, yes, sir. Please, sir. We are able to view your slides also. Yes.
slide you can see now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So thank you very much, Professor Rajkumar, for having introduced this tiny fungus in such a gigantic manner. And really, I'm grateful to your MHRD of Mysore University and also to all of you, and including the participants on this National Science Day. I wish them all the success in their wherever they are and whatever they are doing for the best in their best way for the growth of science to and also dissemination of scientific knowledge to the students and in the general community. I wish them all the success in their future. Now, this is the topic that I have selected. So, biology to biotechnology is a vast subject, and therefore, I would like to mention important things in this particular lecture, and it is oceanic in nature, and biology to biotechnology is such a kind of subject, even hours and days cannot be enough to describe all the aspects and to touch upon all the aspects. All of you know that biology deals with the life, and also to talk about life and their functions and all that. It is also referred as biological sciences. It is the study of life and different activities of life. It examines the structure, function, growth, origin, evolution, and distribution of living things. When it comes to the function, it also includes cellular organization and also cell organelles. And growth also includes in different phases of the plants and animals, and from which particular the origin is in what that is Paleozoic era or whatever it is, and different types of eras we know in the case of paleobotany and paleozoology, and evolution of single cell to that of multicellular organization, and distribution with their wide distribution and also limited distribution of all these living things as far as the locality is concerned or the habitat is concerned, like oceans or as well as the land and forest, and as well as crop areas and so on and so thing. So it classifies and describes the organisms. So biology is mainly concerned with the classification and description of the living organisms and their functions. And also it deals about how the species came into existence and the interactions that between the species and species that they have with each other and with the environment that is existing, whether it is a temperate environment, a tropical environment, or subtropical environment, or what are the other things, and underwater or submerged condition or mangrove or whatever it is, also desert conditions, so on and so forth. So there are four unifying principles which form the foundation for the modern biology, that is cell theory. All of you know that cell is the fundamental unit of the life, and therefore every organism has got cellular organization and evolution and genetics and homeostasis. So these are the basic unifying principles of biology. And one more thing can be added, that is the gene theory. Because of the entry of molecular aspects into biology, it has become necessary for everyone to know the genetic basis of the life, and whether it is unicellular organism or prokaryotes or eukaryotes, plants or animals or microbes, whatever it is. So the genetic basis has to be understood as far as their evolution is concerned. And therefore, depending upon that type of nature of the organism and as well as the evolutionary sequence and also the genetic basis, one can describe and the functions of the organism and as well as their distribution and also various direct or indirect functions of the organism in nature. So now we know that all these organisms, they have got a gene pool, an ancestor, and that gene pool has given rise to different types of organisms and branches of life sciences. And universally common ancestor for all organisms believed to have originated about 3.5 billion years ago. And generally, biologists believe that there is the universality of genetic code among all the organisms. Maybe minor differences are there, but genetic code is the language of every organism. And there is evidence in favor of universal common decency or descendary of all the organisms like bacteria, archaea, and eukaryotes. So this is the concept has been developed with reference to the gene pool and also the genetic code that form the basis. Now, gene theory is the one, all of you know that biological entity and its structure and function are created from and passed on to the next generation by the genes. So the genes are the basic materials, actually nuclear membrane and nucleus, and as well as in the case of prokaryote, there will not be any kind of nuclear membrane, but in the case of eukaryotes, you have got nuclear membrane. So within that, you have got chromosomes, and chromosome number will vary from organism to organism. And in the case of prokaryotes, only DNA or RNA will be present. In the case of many of the plant viruses, it is the RNA, whereas in the case of animal viruses, it is only DNA, single thread only. Whereas in the case of bacteria and other things, you will find the DNA. And all these things come under this particular biological form and function. So there are two kinds of thoughts. One is Lamarckism and Darwinism. All of you know about Darwinism and all that. Lamarckism also. It deals about the widely different types of organisms, and they have got a basic machinery that copies and transcribes the DNA into proteins. So the proteomic science has become important nowadays, and metagenomics also has become very important, and genomics also has become important. But it is a wonderful material. DNA is a wonderful material that has given rise into full-fledged thought about the life and the variation and the functions. So, for example, you take bacteria with inserted human DNA will correctly yield the corresponding human protein. And this has happened many years ago. And also, this kind of research forms the basis for understanding the gene theory and as well as biology. So the genome is the total complement of the genes in an organism or cell. Now here I would like to tell you, still there are certain questions to be answered by the biologists. For example, you take yeast, and yeast serves the purpose of living organism as a unicellular organism. And it is also eukaryote, no doubt about that. But there are more than 200 pores on the nuclear membrane. And still, in spite of having so much of knowledge about the genetics and molecular biology, we are not able to understand why there are 200 pores on the nuclear membrane in the case of the yeast nucleus. For what function they have been created, and what is the basis for the creation, and still such kind of miraculous things are there that we cannot understand. And what are the types of flagellations and other things in the case of animals and plants, and why these flagella have been created. Even in the case of humid soil, certain organisms which are present still, some of the fungi and other bacteria, they bear the flagella. So the role of the flagella we know, but origin of flagella from that of prokaryotes to eukaryotes and other things, still it is a mystery among many of the activities that they carry out. So this is about the gene theory, because I thought that it is essential for us to know the basis for the life, and this has become DNA is the basis for the every organism's life, and it is a wonderful material. And on this National Science Day, we should remember the Watson and Crick for their valuable contribution that they have created DNA model and given us this wonderful material to carry on from one generation to the other generation. This is the Carl Lewis concept, where you can see different types of bacteria, archaea, and eukaryotes, and you can see different types of plants and animals, and as well as the fungi, and many of the ciliates, and so many other things, flagellates, and trichomonads, and microsporidia, and also methanobacteria, and all such kind of thermophilic bacteria, and also whatever it is, chitinophilic organisms, and green algae, and spirocheids, and gram positives, gram negatives, and blue-green algae, and so many other such kind of cyanophages also come under this. And all these organisms, they got originated from that of the common ancestor, and which has got the gene pool, and the gene pools become varied, and they have given rise to bacteria, archaea, and eukaryote. So what Wood's concept is that the phylogenetic trees constructed with the other genes are generally similar, although they may place some early branching groups very differently, presumably only owing to the rapid ribosomal RNA evolution. The exact relationship of these three domains are still to be, they are debated, and there is no conclusive evidence that has come out to know about all the living data or living organisms. And even ribosomal RNA gene data is also still, we need to understand much in this particular regard. Well, in the 20th century, all of you know that rediscovery of Mendel's laws led to the rapid development of genetics by Thomas Montahargan and his students. By 1930, the combination of population genetics has come, and the natural selection formed the basis for neo-Darwinian synthesis. So we know that Mendel's and about the mutations, and also Mendel's laws, and also the survival of the fittest of the Darwin, and so on and so forth. That is the background. And based on this particular background, many new concepts got developed. So new disciplines, they got developed rapidly because of Watson and Crick, who has proposed, both of them proposed the structure of the DNA. So till such time, everything was in a mixed condition, and they were not able to find out what is the basis for any organism, and what is the basis for the function, what is the basis for the origin, and what is the basis for evolution, and so on and so forth. So now phylogenetic trees have been constructed based upon this particular DNA, and following the establishment of this particular DNA material, the cracking of the genetic code has started, and biology now they got widely split between organismal biology and that is cellular and molecular biology. They have become, that is the fields that deal with complete organism and groups of organisms. So in the whole organism concept got developed, and different organelles also they come under this, that is the cellular organization and molecular biology. So cellular biology and molecular biology, these are the two important biologies that are existing as on today. So by the end of 20th century, some new fields have come into the world, that is genomics and proteomics. So every organism has got its own genetic profile and also the protein profile. And now, of course, metabolomics also has come into existence. And these organismal biologists, they use molecular techniques, and molecular and cell biologists are investigating the interplay between the genes and the environment. So this is with reference to the recent concept that got developed at the end of the 20th century. So in other words, Watson and Crick laid the foundation of the DNA that has led to the creation of new scientific fields like genomics and proteomics and metabolomics and so on and so forth. So now cell biologists are and also molecular biologists are very clear about the concepts that they are going to talk about or that they have developed with reference to prokaryotes and eukaryotes and their evolution and phylogenetic relationship. This is only to show that the habitats need to be conserved because biodiversity is the resource material for biotechnology. Whether you take plants, animals, or microbes, or fungi, or mushrooms, or any insects, or whatever it is, habitats are very important. Until and unless you save the habitat, it is very difficult for us to save the life on the earth. So the life on the earth can be investigated through the survey of different substrates and habitats. And this is one such kind of habitat, just like that I've shown as an example. Now, everybody knows what is biodiversity. It is a variation among living organisms and from all the sources, whether inter alia, terrestrial, marine, or other aquatic ecosystems, or the ecological complexes. And it also deals with the variation among from species to species, between genera, and also between the ecosystems, and also in physiological and biochemical activities also. Within single genus, the different organisms or different species act in a different manner. So their physiology and ecology and as well as biochemistry, they form basic material to know their diversity. So we know that all our fingers are not the same, all our faces are not the same, all our language though we speak, but the style of presentation is entirely different. So even habitats are different, and therefore the genetic genes also they are different, and the genetic pool is entirely a complex material. Ecological complexes are different. Therefore, biodiversity is such a kind of material. It combines many of the aspects, and therefore there is a need for us to know biodiversity and its conservation. And as I told you earlier, biodiversity is the resource material for biotechnology. For example, you take a medicinal plant and a product is there, and ashwagandha you take and a lot of products are coming out. If ashwagandha plant doesn't exist, then naturally you cannot have many of the products. Similarly, if the earthworm doesn't exist, then soil cannot be fertile. That is also the organism. So the insects are the number one from that of the biodiversity and numericals, and after that the fungi comes in. Then later on plants and animals and microbes and other things will be coming. So insects will form the first number one from that of the biodiversity numericals, and that is large number of insects are existing in the globe, and that is one of the important aspects that has to be dealt. And we don't have many of the entomologists to identify the biotic world of the insects as on today. And even smallest insect also, as we know, that some of the fungi, they colonize some of the insects also. So that we will take it up later. But I have got a plant, a potted plant. Underneath that, when I sweep the soil that is there, in that particular 2 or 10 grams of the soil, I will find hundreds of insects underneath the pot. So this is the biodiversity in a specified nature. If you go into the details, I think our life will not be enough to study the biodiversity which is existing in the world. So now coming to the biodiversity, I take up the microbes, and the microbes are the microscopic organisms like cyanobacteria. All of you know that blue-green algae, viruses, and then within and actinomycetes, bacteria, mycoplasma, and now we have got phytoplasma also, and also some protozoans, chlamydia, archaebacteria, prions, and viroids, and viricidides, and all these things come under this. And some of the microbiologists, they also include a single-celled yeast as their own patent, because it is ultra microscopic and single cell. So most of the microbes are being single celled. And of course, actinomycetes, they do exist in the form of a chain, but each cell is different from the other. So microbial existence was unknown until the discovery of the microscope in the 17th century. The most important thing is, all along with the origin of the science, all along with the development of the science, we do need the development of instruments. And of course, development of mind is already there with us, but what we need is, we need some of the instruments to look into these organisms. So the first, the microscope, crude microscope, was discovered in 17th century. So that led us to and that is the foundation for us to know many of the microscopic organisms, like protozoans, and as well as some of the fungi and some of the bacteria, so on and so forth. So invention of the microscope has made us to understand the biological world. So most of the organisms from microbes, they may be heterotrophs, but some of them are also autotrophs, like your Chlamydomonas is an autotroph, or Euglena is an autotroph. Now, these are some of the fungi. You can see the insect, that is housefly, got attacked by Entomophthora, the fungus. You can see the powdery substance, that is the fungus. So from this particular discovery, people have come to know that insect pests can be controlled by some fungi. So first, when they have discovered Entomophthora infecting the houseflies, then they have gone in search of the Entomophthora on different insects, and they could see that some of the insects have been killed by this particular fungus, which are really some of the like pest causing, insect pest causing diseases can be controlled with this particular one. One of the things that I can tell you here is Beauveria bassiana, that is discovered by the Mysore Biotechnology Department, Niranjana and other group, and that Beauveria bassiana was sprayed on coffee rust, and that coffee rust could be controlled. So you can see that a number of fungi are able to control many of the diseases. And now the right side is Saprolegnia. Saprolegnia is the fungus which releases the juice spores very sequentially. That is, you will find many sporangia inside the mother sporangium. It is just like an old lady having a pouch where she has got inside different pouches, small pouches are there where she will keep all her money. And that is how the energy is reserved by the fungus, and also space is reserved by the fungus. And that is the beauty of the organism. They don't want to waste space. They don't want to waste their energy. And that is how energy is conserved and space is conserved. Like multi-storied building, they would like to have that kind of. And all of you know that there is a diplanetism in the case of Saprolegnia, which I don't want to go into the details. This is only to show the biodiversity among the organisms like this. And you can see the left side down, this is slipper-shaped ascospores are there from that of a fungus. Nobody has asked the fungus to have slipper-shaped. It is the genetic makeup. But whatever it is, there is wide variety of such kind of organisms. And on the right side, echinoderms you can see. And echinoderms are to see, they are so beautiful and all that. And animals are a wide variety of animals are highly beautiful, and you can different types of fishes and different types of colors, and also different types of organisms, flagellates and non-flagellates, and inside the sea and outside the sea and terrestrial, and so on and so forth, and different types of snakes, and rabbits that we see and that tame them and all that. Now, why I have shown this echinoderm? Because echinoderm is used in cosmetics and echinoderms are used in anti-cancer drug preparation. This is one example I am showing, and many seaweeds and sea urchins and other things are used for that also. And but the, many of our these animals are dying because of infection caused by bacteria, fungi, and by some insects. So we have to protect these echinoderms from the danger of that kind of biological danger that is existing within that particular habitat. So unfortunately, most of the organisms, like whether it is fungi or bacteria or animals, they don't have chlorophyll, and that has enforced them to become parasites. So we also don't have, as human beings, we don't have any chlorophyll, but our brains are so sharp that we think that we have created everything. But first the life was created, unicellular organism, then came into existence the multicellular organism. We are forgetting the fact that our origin is unicellular organism, and now we are claiming that we are much more clever than those organisms. They don't speak much, but they don't have brains, but their activities are so calm and quiet, and never they disturb others, and in a dynamic way and dynamic fashion, they do their functions. That is the beauty of biological world, underneath the sea and above the sea and inside the forest, so on and so forth. Just I wanted to show, like Drosophila, in the case of animals, Neurospora is also one of the best organisms that has been studied for fungal genetics. And this fungus, why I'm telling because the research is also based on the type of organism that we work on, that particular organism. That gives us the clues, what kind of papers and how much citation and all that. Scopus index is there and H index is there and all that. It all depends upon the type of organism that you work and the brain cells that are there in our mind that they will be working. Here, Neurospora crassa has produced 6 Nobel laureates. Tatum and Beadle, the one gene and one enzyme theory was first discovered. Now it has become multiple genes and as well as multi-gene complexity. But this fungus, who has worked on this particular one, 6 Nobel Prizes have been awarded after working on this. And you can see Mendelian segregation of the ascospores in this particular one. And you can also see that 2,840 research papers are published only on this single organism by different scientists from different countries. So this is like Drosophila, which is the bug for the animal genetics, and Neurospora is the bug for the many of the microbiologists and as well as fungal specialists. So one single organism has produced so much of wealth of knowledge and so much of material, not only for research, but also from the point of evolution, from the point of phylogenetic concept, and so on and so forth. So the biochemical basis, one gene and one enzyme theory, what was that envisaged by Tatum and Beadle, later on, many of the things could be discovered. On the right side, you can see there is one fungus, Chaetomium. And this is the fungus which is used in textile industry. That means it produces tons and tons of cellulase enzyme. Lot of cellulase enzyme is produced by this particular fungus. It is present everywhere. It is present in the soil. It is present on the litter. Sometimes it is also present in the debris, that is debris floating in the air, and so on and so forth. But all of them are, most of these this particular fungal species are only saprophytes. So from this, Minter, the scientist has developed the technology of the cellulase enzyme production. And this cellulase is used in textile industry to smoothen the cloth, because when the textile industries produce the bulk cloth, it will be very rough. So to make it smooth, they will be immersing the cloth inside this particular enzyme. Proportionate, they will prepare the proportionate enzyme and they will be dipping this particular one. Another important discovery is that you know that in Surat there are diamond companies, and you know stones, bright stones are there. So from a distance, the diamonds and the stones will be shining because of the fact that application of cellulase enzyme from this particular fungus. So we don't know that in the biological world we have such kind of beautiful organisms, and to know about that our life span is not enough. But we do have such kind of organisms, both in the case of microbes, plants, animals, and as well as the fungi and all that. Now, in the lower one, you can see there is one fungus which produces zoospores into vesicle. See, that is the beauty of the organism. Nobody has asked them to release the zoospores into vesicle. So, randomly, the organisms themselves, they have classified themselves. Animals also, they have classified themselves. Reptiles, we have called them reptiles later on, but reptiles were existing there already. And then non-invertebrates were existing there, like protozoa was existing there. We have named them later when they came into existence. So what I want to say is that biodiversity has given us so much of knowledge for us, not only to understand the structure and function, and also the beauty of the organism. That is more important. You can see the beauty of the organisms also, how the birds, you can see different types of birds, you can see different types of flowers, you can see, and on the right side, you can see bioluminescent ascospores. And even in the animals also, you will find bioluminescent insects. So these bioluminescent fungus exist in the forest. So in the good olden days, the people who used to enter into the forest, when they have seen so much of light in a particular area, they thought that there is some ghost inside the forest, and they used to run away from that particular area. So there are bioluminescent insects and bioluminescent fungi, bioluminescent plants and all that, which will emit the ATP, and that generates a lot of light. And that is beauty of these organisms. And we can go into the details of this later on. There is one fungus, rhodomyces, from that of northeastern Himalayas that they have discovered. And this fungus came into existence in 2022. And when Chinese scientists, along with one Indian scientist, they were searching for many of the organisms, they could find that blue light emitting fungus, blue light emitting light. See, that is the beauty of the organism. What I would like to state is that we have so much of biological world, but we have to understand in what capacity that they will be helping us and how best we can utilize them, and no organism go waste. And let us look into this kind of aspect also for the future perspective of the coming generation. Now you can see that there is one amanita, that left side of upper region. This is the poisonous mushroom. This is the alkaloids are there in this amanitin, and this amanitin is a poisonous alkaloid, and when it is consumed, the people will die. And there is also Roman emperor was killed by his own wife for occupying the throne by giving the soup of this particular Amanita phalloides, a fungus, which was also colored fungus. Now, here there are 3 or 4 important things I wish to say. It is poisonous, no doubt about that. Let us not eat it. That is number 1. The second thing is it has got a pigment. Very good pigment is there. A dye can be extracted from this, which can be used in textile industry. So that is the beauty of this particular dye. Then third thing is this fungus forms rope-like structures with the roots of the many of the plants, especially in the case of temperate, like pinus and other such kind of plants, temperate plants. And then this fungus forms mycorrhiza. That is, myco means fungus, rhiza means root. It forms mycorrhiza, that is sheath-like structure on the root, and this will help the plant by exporting nutrients from that of the soil to that of the plant. it will carry all the nutrients and mobilize them to that of the top of the plant. So this is the ectomycorrhizal nature. Ecto means outside, mycorrhizal means the plant and fungus association. So it is medicinal, it is a dye-yielding plant, it is poisonous, and it is also useful. These alkaloids are also useful in the medicine. Many of the alkaloids can be, amanitin is the alkaloid. It cures many of the psychological disorders. So single organism is giving so much of wealth for us, wealth of knowledge. So look into the organism, and research student, if it is given, he will say that only identification and all that. No, one has to do a lot of things with this particular organism. One single organism can fetch more than 20 or 30 research publications. So we are not taking that particular aspect into our consideration. There is one fungus, that is Amanita asteroides in USA, and it spreads its mycelium up to 10 to the power of 5 kilometers, 10 to the power of 5 kilometers. That means this particular type of group of fungus will spread here and there, the fruit bodies will be there, and the mycelium will spread like a mat and carry all the nutrients to the forest plants. Nobody is supplying nutrients to the forest plants. Whatever that is there in the soil, all the nutrients will be carried to the plants by this kind of organisms. So though they are poisonous, but they are not, they are very much useful the other way. And then right side you can see, you know, prawn culture, which is fetching so many crores of rupees to many of the people who are taming them and also growing them. And also you can see number of fishes also fetching a lot of things. Omega drugs are coming out of the many of these things. And from the insects also, we get a lot of chemicals and perfumes also they are preparing from that of the insects. What I want to tell you, single organism, you can take this right side is the Marcella of the fungus. Morel, this name is, common name is Morel, which grows underneath the apple orchards. Underneath the apple plantations, there is a grass. In that grass, it will be growing. And India, by exporting this is an edible fungus. And by exporting this, it is getting 4,000 crores. Every year, it is exporting and getting 4,000 crores. In recent times, 2022-23, they have exported for about 5,500 crores. So this is the beauty of the organisms. We are, I must say that maybe somebody should not take into a negative sense. We are wasting our energies in not exploiting our nature. And see, if you look into the organism, let us not go and see what the Chinese people are doing and what these American people are doing or Australian people are doing. This is not the way of doing the research or doing the study or having the education. We have got plenty of organisms. India is 1/3 of global biodiversity is in India. Whether you take plants, animals, or insects, or fungi, or bacteria. But we don't have brains to find out this group of organisms. So we need such kind of brains. And if one organism is there, you see the yeast. 50% of biotechnology is because of yeast. And if you see the alcohol production in every country, their economy is surviving because of the yeast fermentation. And alcohol is supporting every country and every state, not only in India, but also elsewhere. So the governments are standing in many of the places because of the 50% of biotechnology is from that of the yeast. The bread preparation and all that edible things which are coming. I went to UK for the first time, 1977. And when I entered into at midnight, then till such time I did not eat any mushroom. The hotel person said, "Sir, we don't have anything vegetarian. It is only, if you consider it is a vegetarian, there is only mushroom you can eat." But now mushroom has become trillion billion industry in many of the countries. In Europe, there are trillions of economy is emerging from that of the mushrooms, edible mushrooms. We do have edible mushrooms, but we are not doing that much work and on that. So this is one such kind of example I wish to, but unfortunately, that is where human mind, we have to look into this. We have got lot of energy, we have a lot of cleverliness and all that, clever genes are there and all that. But we are not able to culture this organism. That is the beauty of the nature. Nature is always questions us what you are doing. And this now even today, it could not be cultured. There is one Ophiocordyceps. There is one fungus which is there in Nepal and other places, and also in northeastern India. You know, one gram of that particular one is sold for 5,000. It is anti-cancer, and also it rejuvenates the energy, and it is also used for increasing the mental power, and so on and so forth. And that kind of organisms are there surrounding us, but it could not be cultured. So these are certain things which in biology one should look into that, and students should get attracted for that kind of organization of the biology and the examples and so on. Now you can see the lower one. This is the Dictyophora, lady's wheel, it is called. Lady's wheel, it is called. And you can see that when an insect is sitting on the top, once it sits, it is killed. That is, it has got insecticidal properties. And that wheel-like structure is the secretion of the fungus only. Nobody has laid that particular one. It is the wheel is only covering that particular one is a secretion of the fungus. So what I wish to say is that our faces are only beautiful. No, there are plants, flowers are beautiful. Many of the animals are beautiful. Many of the fungi are beautiful. Many of the organisms are much more beautiful than us. See, that kind of natural beauty doesn't come with artificial things. So nobody has laid this net. Neither no sports person can lay this kind of net. This is the beauty of the organism has to be. So funny, the organisms have become important from the point of biology, study of life, and also origin and evolution, and also from the study of the things like understanding the medicines, pharmaceuticals, and agriculture, economy, and beauty, and so on and so forth. Now, these are the different types of organisms. Now, I don't want to go into the details, but the last one, you can see that is penicillium. Lower one, penicillium. And all of you know that Alexander Fleming has discovered this, and without the discovery of this, I think many people might have died before that. So penicillin came into existence and to save the humanity. And that was the discovery of Alexander Fleming, and which came into existence so many years back when the science was something like a bullock cart having the bullocks at the backside. Those were the days where the good microscope was not available, fermentation technology did not develop, and genetics has not developed much. But Fleming has discovered penicillin. You know the secret of this particular one. The secret is that his wife was working as a lab assistant in his laboratory. And one day when she was washing the petri dishes of all the organisms like bacteria and fungi, she could find in one of the petri dishes that one blue fungus was reducing the growth of the bacterium. And she has gone and shown to that husband, and husband said, "This is a beautiful discovery." See, Nobel Prizes will not be given just like that. And discoveries cannot be made just like that. It has to come. Experience doesn't help us to have So here, by looking at that particular situation, they could get the Nobel Prize. So this is the penicillin. And just on the side of that slide, you can see Coltotrichum, a fungus. All of you know that in Hyderabad, cheetah mouse is there and banana. That spots are there on the fruit. If they think that this is the fungus is spoiling the fruit. No. If the fungus is there, infection is more, then it is more sweeter than the other fruits. So sometimes it helps in the nutrition also. We do have like that many of the nutritious sources like fish. Now these are some of the beautiful organisms that just I wanted to show how the biodiversity is there. Now left side you can see one broomstick like structure, and this broomstick like structure is a microscopic organism, and this we have isolated from the patients who are suffering with onychomycosis, that is reddening of the eye. L.V. Prasad Eye Institute is there in Hyderabad. 200 patients were admitted suddenly, and we went there and we got the sap of that, the droplets of the eyes, and we have cultured that, and we could find this particular broomstick-like structure. And this is the fungus. I told you, don't blame the organisms which are parasitic or saprophytic because they don't have chlorophyll. When there is no chlorophyll, natural they have to be saprophytic or parasitic. So that is the reason why due to dust or other things, whatever it is, many of the farmers, they got this particular fungus from the air and they got infected. And with 0.01% of sodium chloride solution, we could cure this particular disease, onychomycosis. So some of the things we have to take certain things very seriously, and some of them have to be tamed, some of the organisms to be tamed, and we have to look into many of the organisms very closely because human welfare and human mankind is dependent upon the animals, plants, and microbes and fungi, so on and so forth. Well, we have other organisms, mycorrhizas, mutualistic organisms. This, as already I told you, mycorrhiza means root and fungus association. And what it does, it helps the plant by giving the nutrients. It helps the plant to become more healthy and also to bear with the abiotic and biotic stress, and mineral nutrients are supplied. And in turn, the fungus gets the carbohydrate from that of the plant because fungus doesn't have chlorophyll. So we have different types of 80% of plants have got mycorrhiza. Without mycorrhiza, no plant exists on the earth. Ectomycorrhiza, endomycorrhiza, ectoendomycorrhiza, arbutide mycorrhiza, monotrochoid mycorrhiza, eriochoid mycorrhiza, archidid mycorrhiza. So these are some of the, and you know, in the year 1885, Frank has discovered this mycorrhiza. Still it is valid. 1885, discovery was made, and mycorrhiza is now sold as a biofertilizer. We have forgotten about earthworm. Organic farming has recently, they have started again doing that. But earthworm is the best friend of the farmer. So like that, many biofertilizers are coming, and mycorrhiza is one such kind of biofertilizer, and earthworm compost is also a biofertilizer. These are all different types of mycorrhiza. I don't want to go into details. Now I am coming to the different group, that is lichens. A stable and self-supporting association of a fungus and an alga, that is called lichen, a combination of both. And we have got 2,600 lichens all over the world. 26,000 all over the world, 2,600 in India. So that is, they are there on the rocks, tree trunks, old walls, and roofs, and you know that in biryani, Hyderabad biryani, commonly they use for a flavor these lichens also, some of the lichens which are edible. And that edible lichen is used, Parmelia is used to give a good smell and scent. So they may be like a leaf-like, or like a flower-like, or like a, on rocks it is crustose. There are 700 chemicals which have been isolated from that of the lichens. 700 chemicals are there. And you know, they are pigments. From that of chemical, they have prepared pigments, toxins, antibiotics, medicines, perfumes. The perfumes that are sold in the market, some of them are from that of the lichens. Dyes, you know, the first, when there was no instrument to measure the pH, the first pH paper was there. So pH paper was because of Rosella. pH paper was prepared from that of the lichen Rosella. So these are all about the lichens. Then about the algal biodiversity, I am coming. The algae are abundantly found in water, sea, water also, humid soils, rocks, leaves, and also on plant pots and humid soils and other things, and other habitats also. And different types of groups are there: Cyanophyta, Chlorophyta, Bacillary, and all that. Biofertilizer. In India, the first biofertilizer has been produced from that of blue-green algae by IARI, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, and sold in the market and also given to the farmers. So that is the biofertilizer that was prepared to actually to grow most of the plants by giving this particular biofertilizer, and yield is increased. So feed for animals as food. It is also used as a feed. And also, all of you know spirulina tablets. Spirulina is now sold as a protein complement. It is a protein complement. So you will find it is a spiral structure, and therefore it is named as spirulina, and they are sold in the market as a protein supplement. So in ceramic industry, that is rock industry also, the algae are used. In defense and space, in defense also, algae have become very important. Space, chlorella biscuits. Chlorella biscuits, when they eat for more than 2-3 days, they will not have any hunger at all. They will not become hungry. Therefore, in space, they use this kind of biscuits also. In cosmetics also, algae have become very important. And if I want to talk about cosmetics only, it takes more than a day. Beta carotene, which is used in the case of cardiotherapy, beta carotene nowadays, Duneriella, that is, it has got astaxanthin from that of Hematococcus and Pharopyridium. All these beta carotenes are also there in the animals. So beta carotene is now used for that of the cardiotherapy, and it has become very important for us. And industries are getting established for beta carotene synthesis and pharmaceuticals. Algal blooms. And of course, when the water is green, you should think that it is blue. That is, there is some algae which is toxic, like microcystis. When the animals like buffaloes and cows, they go and drink that water, then it is poisonous for them. So microcystis, there are also good and bad on the either side of the just like a coin on either side. The organisms have got good and bad, but you have to take what percentage of good is there in the organism for the mankind. So they are also pollution indicators, and chlamydomonas used in understanding the genetics. Aquaculture also for prawn culture, algae used, and bioremediation. Spoiling is our business, and curing or the making the soil to become healthy. It is the organisms like bacteria, fungi, animals, and others that they help. These are some of the lower plants. Ephedrine, the lower one, you can see there are some flower-like structures are there. That is ephedrine. Ephedrine is used in the case of fertility experiments, and also to control fertility, so on and so forth. So we have got the first primary colonizers on the earth, that is on the rock, is the bacteria. After the bacteria, lichens have come. After the lichens, bryophytes have come. After the bryophytes, pteridophytes have come. After the pteridophytes, then herbs and shrubs have come, then soil was formed, then the forest has come. That is the succession, hierarchical succession, and so on and so on. The different types of succession, hierarchical succession, mesozoic succession, all successions, ecological successions are there. Well, plant fossils, both in the case of animals and dinosaurs, all of you know, and also plant fossils are also there, like Ginkgo biloba is the living fossil, and Metasequoia is the living fossil. So in order to know the age of the earth, we have to study plant and animal fossils. That will give us a clue about the radiocarbon dating of the soil profile and so on and so forth. So they think that age of the earth is about 4.5 billion years, and some form or other is known to occur 3.5 billion years ago. So depending upon the mode of preservation, we have got compressions, impressions, molds, and casts and petrifactions. You know, there is one Birbal Sahni Institute of Paleobotany in Lucknow, and that Birbal Sahni, he has established that particular institute, very famous institute, and where many people and many of the Paleozoic and as well as the paleobotanical evidences have been provided about dating of the earth and so on and so forth, and also about the where the oil can be found or where certain important things can be found. That also the excavations have proved, where the indicator organisms and fossils were discovered. They have given indication that so and so things are available in that particular profile. These are some of the Williamsonia sievardiana was discovered and constructed by the Birbal Sahni. He is the founder of Birbal Sahni Institute. And both Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Birbal Sahni, they were close friends. Well, on plant biodiversity, there are on the earth 80,000 edible plants are there. Out of 80,000, humans are able to cultivate 300. And out of 300, 12 are only known for us. That is, we are dependent upon only on those 12. And that is your rice, wheat, pulses, and other things like that. So all these 12, if they vanish, then this earth cannot survive. People cannot survive. So it is our duty to protect and conserve the biodiversity. Ex situ conservation and in situ conservation. Both are essential. And ex situ conservation and in situ conservation, they have become important. Those you can tame them and grow them. And those who cannot tame them and you cannot culture them, you cannot grow them artificially, like tissue culture plants and so on and so forth. You have to see that the natural environment, the breeding has to be done. Their population is to be increased because they are useful for the survival of the humans. So such kind of things have to be taken care of. So like that, dual plants have to be taken care of. So what is this kind of diversity of animals and plants? They have made the scientists to learn what important genes are actually contained in the millions of plants and animal species housed in gene banks. We have got gene banks around the world. And now when you discover a new organism, you have to isolate the gene and you have to deposit that particular gene. And otherwise you cannot be considered as an important discovery. So gene banks have become, and that is now a lot of developments have taken place, cryopreservation and so on and so forth. But nevertheless, and each plant nowadays, what they are doing is each plant, each microbe, each fungus, each animal, each insect is given a barcode. I barcode is given, ID barcode is essential for any organism which is discovered newly. And whatever that has happened earlier, that is old story. But from now onwards, in the case of 21st century, these gene banks are available and ID barcode has to be given for each organism, a new organism that is going to be discovered. These are some of the Himalayan plants. and which have become endangered, geranium, artemisia. I will tell you about the artemisia later. And you can see erythrina, and this particular rubex plant, which can the fruits, these fruits are edible. And such kind of plants are also available, and which will make us to survive. In the forest they are available, and which we can also grow them and multiply their number. And you can see cyanthus, beautiful flowers and seeds that are there. And not only roses and other things, but also these plants can be grown in our garden. And you can see this is the lichen. From a distance, if you see, when you when you fly in the, when you take a flight and you look at in certain forests like Amazon and others, you can see that there's such a beautiful pictures that you can see. And that is the lichen, which is yellow in color. And from a distance, it gives such kind of color. And you can see Vitia monosperma. Now Holi is coming, and you can see that they used to boil these particular flowers and prepare in the good olden days. Of course, now other things have come, and which are spoiling the face and as well as beauty of the people with all the chemicals and all that. This is called flame of the forest. And here you can see rhododendron. Your Bangalore is doing a lot of business and rhododendron and crores of rupees they are earning. Now Cycas rampi, it has been vanished in Himalayan region and also other places. And you can see Rasula, this is a poisonous mushroom, and some of them are edible. And Napoleana, this is the type of flower you can see. And such a beautiful flowers are there in western and eastern Himalayas and so on and so forth. So biodiversity conservation is essential for us. Now lower insectivorous plant, they cannot survive in other areas except in the case of Himalayan region and northeastern area. And you can see beautiful flowers which will survive for about 3 months or so. That is the orchids. Lower ones are orchids. So we have 20,000 species in the world, and 1,200 species are there in India, and 6% of world orchids are there in India. And these are all Eastern Himalayas, Western Himalayas, and in our Western Ghats and Andaman and Nicobar, 380 species. And in the whole tropical countries, we have got 1.5 lakhs of hybrids. Here I want to mention that Thailand, with 400 orchids, they are supplying the orchids to the whole world. Croatia, small country, is supplying arkinol, the color agent, to Europe and other advanced countries. Like that, Vietnam, with 200 orchids, it is making a lot of business with the advanced countries. With 1,200 species of orchids, we are not able to generate that much money. And that is, now we talk of bio industries, and we talk of so many things, biomarketing, and so on and so forth. I don't want to go into all those details, but everything is dependent upon our will and our hard work and our concern for the biodiversity and our interest, and also for the interest of our younger generation, in the interest of the younger generation, and also for the sake of the country, one has to work on these aspects. These are the orchids that we have collected. You know, in our Telangana region, Hyderabad, one orchid is sold for 180 rupees. 180 rupees, one orchid plant which survives for 3 months if you keep it on as a table plant. You can see that beautiful colors are there, and this is from Eastern Ghats they have collected. Well, palynology, and here we will be talking about something about honey. And of course, pollen grains are very important. And without pollen, there is no fertilization. Of course, parthenogenesis is there, apomix is there, but it is rare. And only in some plants and other things it will take. And why this palynology is important? Palynology is important to understand paleoclimate. What are the insects? what are the animals that were existing, what are, and on what pollen grains the animals were feeding, and what kind of animals were existing can be known with this kind of paleoclimatic data and the pollen grains which are fossilized. And vegetational history, what was the type of forest that was existing, also can be known. You can trace out the history of the plants and animals, and also radiocarbon dating can be done. Archaeology, what is going on in many of the temples, like whether you take Ayodhya, whether you take Jnanavapi, or whether you take Madura, it is all archaeology. And in archaeology, what kind of flowers they have used for puja and all that, now they are producing the data of the plants, and they are producing the type of pollen grain that they have seen, that archaeological data. So all this biostratigraphy of our areas and mountains and other things, where the petroleum exploration can be found. So fossilized animals and as well as pollen grains and other kinds of evidences can give us where the petroleum deposits are there and gas deposits are there. See, biology people are not forgetting, the molecular biologists are forgetting the fact that only genes have become important, but organisms are also important. You yourself who is working in molecular biology, you are an organism. You are forgetting the fact that your hands are there, your neck is there, eyes are there, and you are forgetting the things and you talk about only genes and genes. Genes are important, we know that. Everybody knows that. But without all the organisms, where are the genes? If the organism is not there, if the animal is not there, if the plant is not there, if these products are not there, plant products are not there, if the different organelles are not there, if different insects are not there, what for you are doing the genetics? Organisms are existing, therefore you are doing molecular biology. So petroleum exploration, oceanography using bioindicators, one can find out which kind of enemy is coming and approaching us. That kind of science is there now. And honey bee palynology, you can see. See, without pollen grains, there is no honey bee, without flowers. And without honey bee, there is no honey formation. It is a rural industry, cottage industry. Aeropalynology, allergy. Why do you want to blame the organisms and pollen grains? You have grown the plant, therefore pollen grains are flying. In the forest, that plants are there. But in the house, if you grow the same allergic plant, you will be allergic to those pollen grains. Parthenium, for example, it has come as an alien one. Lantana camera, it has become alien. From other countries, it has come, not Indian plant, that is. And you know, one single Parthenium plant produces 98,000 seeds. And 98,000 seeds will become 98,000 plants. How difficult it is for the removal?
Hello,
Hello,
sir, this is break time, sir.
sir?
This is break time.
Time is up.
Yes, sir, time up, sir.
Just wait, just wait.